No, 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 no! Wait, 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 wait! Wait, 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 wait! No! No, 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 no! No! Let it come back!
3.6. Not great, not terrible.
Fallout New Vegas, Lonesome Road, brings us to the Battle of the Divide. The battle between the two couriers beneath the torn skies and the old world flag, each bearing a message for the other. At first glance it might appear as a linear walk from point A to point B, get mauled by a Deathclaw experience. But for those who slow down, who found the messages hidden along the way, it becomes something of a pilgrimage to the best showdown of the Fallout franchise. More thought-provoking than the showdown with the Master, more impactful than blowing up the Enclave's oil rig, and more emotional than...
Stop! 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 Stop!
This is because Lonesome Road uses a wonderful, mirroring narrative tool with a setup that is done before the DLC even begins. A tool best observed here in the temple, under the segment spotlight. Part 1. A foreshadowed encounter. The magic of Lonesome Road actually starts before you even step into the Divide. Across the 3 previous DLCs, you hear tales of a strange courier who visited each location before you. In Dead Money, Christine mentions hunting a courier with an old world flag on his back. Joshua Graham mentions he expected another courier, a Legion courier who once worked for him. In Old World Blues, you find his audio logs, and the ending slides tease one road yet to walk. This strange courier seems to be connected to a lot of major events in the Mojave, including the delivery of the Platinum chip that resulted in you getting shot in the head and left for dead. So now, finally, after experiencing all those different adventures, at a point in time when the bear and bull are just about to clash again at Hoover Dam, you come to the Canyon Wreckage Pass that leads to a... reunion. At the very entrance, the DLC name is presented in the form of graffiti, and another one that says Courier 6 lets us know that we are expected. The environmental design of Lonesome Road is so great, it literally kicks in from the very first second of the DLC, as we gaze upon the shattered landscape of the Divide. Inside a nearby bunker, more graffiti is present, telling us to go home, which is foreshadowing more than just the upcoming encounter. Inside the bunker, we activate an iBot named Eddie, who is just the sweetest little pal with a surprisingly engaging past that connects to some of the characters from Fallout 3. The Lonesome Road is not so lonesome anymore, is it? With Eddie's help, we are able to unlock the bunker doors, get access to supplies, and get a good look at our legacy in this place. As we step out of the bunker and into daylight, we enter Part 2. Opposing views, similar methods. At long last, after 3 DLCs, through Eddie, we finally speak with the previous Courier 6 before the title fell to us. Right off the bat, your choices are recognized, as Ulysses calls you out based on which faction you support. He says that he's been looking for us for years, and that we have a history. A character with high perception like mine can point out that we would have definitely remembered his voice if we had met. But as he puts it...
Words are the only way couriers meet. Sometimes it's the paths we walk.
Ulysses obviously has some kind of opposing worldview to us, but behind the symbols in his speech, there is a certain similarity between us. Yes, he is a courier as well, but more so than that, he too seems to have a faction, an ideal, a flag he fights for. Or to be more precise, he did. He lost it somehow, and apparently we are the main cause of that. And he promises answers to all of that if we choose to go to him. One brief comment about discarded audio logs gives us a hint as to what we must find in order to truly understand him, and this DLC. Before we part ways, he warns us about the Marked Men, the only denizens capable of surviving in the Divide. Marked by radiation, their old symbols of the bear and bull burned away. To get to Ulysses, we have to cut a path through them, and along the way find a warhead detonator to help us clear the way. The transmission ends, and after this wonderful teaser, we are truly ready to explore the Divide. What makes these messages from Ulysses even more engaging is the sheer breadth of speed check options that allow us to get extra info from him on his motivation. Intrigued, motivated, and eager for more history, we set out to find the warheads and deal with the Marked Men. Now, if you just look at it from a gameplay perspective, the marked men are just a gameplay bloat obstacle meant to increase our time with the DLC and hopefully give us a few fun combat encounters. However, if you pay attention to the dialogue and story, the marked men are Courier 6's legacy. If Ulysses is telling the truth, and what happened here is our fault, we indirectly created the marked men by creating the Divide. So this is no longer a trash mob cleanup, but a mercy killing. Righting the wrongs of the past and learning from our history just as Ulysses said we should do. We find the detonator at last, and we proceed to make our way through old world history. Now, I'm not going to show every Ulysses audio log or its location. It's better to leave a link to a video in the description. All I'll do is implore you to find them, as they are essential to maximizing your enjoyment of Lonesome Road, story-wise at least. My favorite one, however, is the one on the braids, as it truly encapsulates the theme of this DLC. The perversion of symbols. From what we know about Ulysses so far, his tribe was one of the many to be assimilated into the Legion. And while he himself serves as an envoy of the Legion, this audio log shows he hasn't let go of that past. It shows a part of his motivation that makes him both similar to us and also different in the conclusion he reached. Here's the audio log and a skip time if you already know it by heart.
The white legs meant to show respect, bribe me for Kaiser's favor. Echoing mannerisms and words, showed them tech caches, taught them the workings of chamber and powder, spoke of Kaiser's pride in those that used such things. Lies. And then they tried to honor me, not the Legion. They brought me before the campfire one night. Showed me how they changed themselves, how they wore their hair now. It was like my entire dead tribe in the firelight, teeth grinning red in the dark, eager corpses, blood-covered ghosts. They had taken my braids, the way of the twisted hairs, as if it showed they were like me, of me. While every knot in their braids spoke of raping, violence, and ignorance of what the knots meant. They thought to show respect. Defiled it. Lost myself in trying to read the braids they wove. When I remembered, they had put no meaning in it. They had no history of what it meant. They didn't even know the insult in the twists, knots, and the dry wells came rushing back. The white legs circled like that. It was like looking at the dead of my tribe, reborn as ghosts, hateful, hungry, bowing to Kaiser. Another history, gone, carried by me alone.
Wow. All I'll say is that I occasionally come back just to listen to that log. The theme of being the sole carrier of a nearly lost history, of seeing that history polluted, well, if that theme doesn't hit you in the gut, it at least tells you what kind of enemy you have in Ulysses. As we make our way through a darkened underground pass, another horror of the Divide's history is presented to us. The Tunnelers.
There's something in here. It's right over in there. What the hell was that? What was that? Guys, we're getting surrounded. Up there it is. Buy me time, guys. Buy me time. How much more time would you like, buddy? We need to get that information. Get out of here, fuck.
This section is great because it shows despite being a high-level courier, the Divide can still find ways to make you sweat or destroy you if you are not careful. On the other side of the tunnel comes our second message from Ulysses. Once again he brings up New Vegas, but this time he mirrors the themes of the Dead Money DLC. However, I believe in the vision of New Vegas, so I counter his opposing viewpoint, speech check after speech check. This moment is actually one of the best examples of why you should listen to his logs, because it helps you understand what the fuck Ulysses is even saying during these interactions. In the audio log, you heard how upset he was with the perversion of the braids that were a symbol of his old tribe. This also helps explain what his problem with New Vegas is.
House sticks a shovel to history's graves, props up the dead, and puts words in their mouths. The tribes don't even know how they were broken.
The purpose of the Divide also becomes more clear. Its value other than an old world symbol that Ulysses stands behind. Its location allowed it to be a secondary supply line for the NCR, and as you can imagine, the Legion would have none of that. This explains the presence of the marked men from both factions that roam the area. So at this point, Ulysses' motivations are becoming clearer. The Divide's importance is made evident as well. And lastly, that cold voice of the former Courier 6 betrays some of his feelings towards this place, and more importantly, what history we have with this region. We were apparently the lifeline for the Divide, a courier who helped it through storms and harsh seasons. And while for us it was just a job, to Ulysses it was a symbol of hope that we apparently betrayed. Ulysses intends to make us pay for this betrayal, as he tells us to walk west into the sun until it dies, and there he will be waiting. Once again, similar courier methods and roads, vastly different conclusions and worldviews. With another spike of motivation from this interaction, we continue along this elevated highway, taking in the vast surroundings, getting more audio logs, sniping some more marked men, and encountering another apex predator of the Divide. As we clear the highway, Ashton's silo comes into range, and both a thrilling and confusing moment awaits. So if I understood correctly, Courier 6 needed to get inside this silo. So instead of having Eddie just hack the door or use a lock-picking skill, we launch a literal fucking nuke so the door will open?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Like, the only headcanon that I use here so that the courier doesn't look like a complete mouth-breathing moron is that Ulysses somehow tricked him and set up the console to launch the missile. Or maybe he thought the silo was empty. Whatever the case, Ulysses does use this against us in a later argument. Is there something I'm missing here, Temple Legends? Was the nuke the only solution? Let me know in the comments below. Despite this being an odd choice, I like how it results in the creation of a new area called the Courier's Mile. A literal scar on the earth showing the influence Courier 6 has on the world in-game, not just during conversations. After another gun show section with the tunnelers, okay Obsidian, we get it, they are a huge threat, we finally step into the Divide. And here at long last we get most of the answers we were promised. As expected, the Divide wasn't always like this. It was a thriving community, a bridge between the East and the West, the bear and the bull, but it was quite different. It was something new, and Ulysses, despite being a Legion scout, found himself drawn to the symbol of the Divide. The fact that we, as a courier, helped the Divide survive, thrive and grow was a powerful message to him. And then one day we brought a package with an unknown function to the Divide. It's never revealed why we did it, and even Ulysses is just speculating, but the consequences are evidently clear all around us. The device was a detonator for a cache of nuclear warheads below the Divide, and once the people of the Divide opened the package to examine it, as Ulysses puts it, the warheads, the sleeping giants, awakened, and created this massive scar in the earth. A new symbol of hope, one created by us, destroyed indirectly by our own hand. Ulysses being the only person to survive this catastrophe, and the only person to know the full context, as well as being a courier himself in a way, came to a very different conclusion, and a very different message he plans to deliver to us. Not a message of revenge, but something more. We'll find out what that is at the tower that cuts the horizon, in Ulysses' new home among the dead. Before that, however, the heart of the Divide is filled with marked men strongholds that lie ahead, and we must carve a path with guns and nuclear fire. If you explore slightly off the beaten path, you find, in my opinion, not just the best looking armor in Fallout New Vegas, but also in gaming as a whole. This elite riot gear is so aesthetically perfect for Courier 6 and his final showdown with Ulysses that it's one of the main reasons I just can't play an energy weapon power armor courier. With the spoils of the Divide claimed, we make our way to the top of another collapsed building, and right into a gut-wrenching moment. Ulysses tricked us again. He needed what was inside Eddie to trigger his final plan of awakening more of the giants sleeping below the Divide. This close to his base, he uses an override code and takes Eddie away from us.
Big mountain access code. Ulysses. Command override. Navarro.
Disoriented, enraged, and downright panicked from possibly giving Ulysses the tools to create another Divide, I pick up my rifle and rush to his temple. Luck is on our side, at least, when it comes to saving Eddie, as we find him in some kind of maintenance pod and rescue him. He seems unharmed and helps us by opening another commissary terminal so we can resupply before facing Ulysses. With Eddie at our side, we descend down the elevator and into Part 3, the Mirroring Showdown. And so the first Dragonborn meets the last Dragonborn at the summit of Apocrypha. The former Courier 6, a demon of our past whose shadow was cast across every DLC so far, Ulysses, stands before us, a nuclear missile primed for launch behind him. After he stole Eddie from me, I was furious, and I wanted to strike him down the first chance I got. And the DLC does allow you to do that, but standing here in this missile bay with that old world flag behind him, I just don't see the point. And this is exactly what makes this showdown so memorable. Courier 6 and Ulysses, both couriers of the waste who walk the roads of East and West, both men who have shown the ability to influence the course of entire nations and who both seek a symbol to uphold. For my career, it is New Vegas, Mr. House, and a future free from the folly of a bygone generation. Ulysses, however, the mirror to my Courier 6, came to a very different conclusion under a very different symbol. Thus, this showdown was inevitable. Using the shared experience we have, Ulysses argues for a different message. Not one of hope, but of starting over. Of wiping the slate clean. According to him, the NCR, the bear, grows without structure, with only a faint knowledge of the history of the symbol they serve under. So its throat must be cut, the long 15 turned into miles of nuclear fire, and after that the bear would fall before the bull. It is not unlike what happened in the Divide, and Ulysses says it's a message he learned from us, from what we did to his home. The knowledge to kill a nation. New Vegas, our new home, is an insult of the old world to Ulysses, and without NCR support, he believes it will fall to the Legion. Then only one flag, one symbol, that of the bull, will fly across the Mojave before it too collapses in on itself. The slate wiped clean. Now I think the most thematically correct way is to debate Ulysses using his own words in the audio logs. Basically to show him how both of you are mirror opposites of each other, and the only difference is the conclusion you came to. However, I personally prefer using the actions of my courier to win this mirrored showdown. You see, while my Courier 6 supports New Vegas and House's plan for the future, like House, he also sees the value in the NCR, and how it is a way lesser evil compared to the Legion. That means that I ensured I had a great reputation with them throughout the game, which makes them all the less likely to suspect the upcoming twist at Hoover Dam. This reputation, this aid I provided the NCR, is a sword that I can use to cut through Ulysses' twisted mirrored viewpoint. Then, once his resolve is shaken, I turn the fate of the entire Divide against him. Just as I, as Courier 6, brought to life to the Divide, I can do so for New Vegas, and eventually the NCR. Wiping the slate clean achieves nothing. It resets the growth of all mankind back to zero, just like it did after the Great War. People still fight, corrupt governments and rulers still arise, and wars are abundant. The message from my Courier 6 to Ulysses is this: wiping the slate doesn't work. Using the mistakes of the past to grow a better nation, a better future, does. At this point, Ulysses is just about to give up, but he throws one last "the divide" argument against us, and tries to focus on the futility of stopping the already active missile sequence. But I turn his own strategy against him. The verbal duel ends with a swing of the sword, my actions at the Divide, both good and bad, etched into the blade, and thus, Ulysses breaks.
It may be that as much destruction has been written in the earth here, you may build something else, as you built the Divide. You have spoken truly. There is a shadow of a nation behind you, the hope of a people, yet it may not matter. The Divide still stands against us.
And that is another reason why debating Ulysses rather than killing him is the best option. The Divide stands against us, as the marked men both of the Bear and Bull will soon swarm the missile silo, intent on killing both of us. So we must make our stand here, two couriers of legend at the Divide.
They come for us.
Not only is fighting alongside Ulysses here as the missiles are about to launch extremely epic, again the best showdown of the Fallout franchise, but it also allows the murder hobos a rewarding, rage-venting experience in case they decide to talk Ulysses into standing down rather than fighting him. As the gunfire dies down, clarity returns with an awareness of a grim fact. The missiles will soon launch, the message of my Courier 6 buried beneath an atomic mushroom cloud. However, the hope we brought to a lost little droid will now be the thing that saves the world. Eddie has the hardware to disable the missile launch, but it is imperfect hardware, and aborting the missile launch will cost him his life. Eddie's life for the life of all the Mojave and beyond. God damn it! I swear for a brief second I considered letting 3 nations die just to save this little guy. But in the end the choice is clear. God damn you! Come on, let's get out of here! Now I know some of you might think Ulysses deserved to die because of this, but he is as much of a victim of this world as Eddie. Witnessing the creation of the Divide, the death of a symbol of hope, well, people have fallen to despair for far less. And the message my Courier 6 carries is one of hope, not vengeance. Except for Benny. Besides, in the slides we see a part of Eddie survived through a signal he passed to the iBot back in the Mojave, imprinting his experiences onto him, so that helped a lot with the pain of losing him. Ulysses, reformed after the events in his temple, chose to stay in the Divide to once again examine its history and perhaps apply the same methods Courier 6 used to bring it to life one day. Now, the reason I believe that this is the best showdown in Fallout is not because it has the flashiest set piece or the most unique design in the franchise. No, it is because it is the distilled essence of the Fallout franchise in its purest form.
How can you guarantee results?
By dropping the bomb ourselves.
Shut up, you're not canon! 2 individuals that mirror each other, 2 identical roads they both walked, and 2 vastly different interpretations of history and its symbols. On a larger scale, this was the story of the United States and China before the beginning of the war. But because the wrong lessons from history were learned and the wrong symbols were worshipped, that story ended the world. Here at the Divide, this story, much like history, repeats itself. But this time, humanity will make the right choice. If the Fallout franchise is about failing to learn from history, giving in to man's primal need for war, then this mirrored showdown can be the proof that this primal need doesn't always have to win. It is proof that, although war may not change,
Men do. Through the roads they walk.
no other final confrontation of the Fallout franchise brought forth all of the core ideas of the Fallout franchise like this. Made them flesh into mirroring individuals and offered an actual answer, a path forward for a world that has suffered so much. People say that Ulysses is a Chris Avellone self-insert, and that nuking both the NCR and the Legion is his canon ending. In other words, Avellone considers that wiping the slate clean is the best option. I don't know if this is true. Let me know in the comments if it is. But if it is true, then well, I think Chris failed to learn from history just like his self-insert. However, I choose to think that Avellone wanted a message of hope to prevail in the end, of breaking the cycle of war and ushering in something new for the Fallout world. As a pure-blooded Serbian man, I resonate a lot with the message of learning the wrong lessons from history and repeating it. The current state of the Balkans is proof of what happens when the slate is reset over and over again, with no lesson learned for a better future. Maybe that's why recently I've been enjoying some historically accurate mods of my own country's history.
This is when we show the ballers what banging is all about.
Yeah, that's right.
Grove Street is king. Say it with me, niggas. Grove Street is king.
Grove Street is king.
Shut
Ryder, where the hell you at, man?
So, is it possible to learn this power? Can you break down the essentials of Lonesome Road and use it to make a similar finale in your setting? Or if you're not a creator, can you learn to identify, appreciate, and support creators who do know how to use it? Yes and yes, but to understand and use it, you must know the theory. So listen closely, my Temple Legends, as your mentor tells you about the Mirroring Showdown. A foreshadowed encounter with an enemy that shares one or more characteristics with the protagonist. A foreshadowed encounter with an enemy that shares one or more key characteristics with the protagonist. This enemy, however, has a clear, opposing worldview/goal to the protagonist, and the methods to achieve it are also similar to the protagonist's. If both steps above are implemented well, the enemy becomes a mirror of the protagonist. And the upcoming encounter is both a battle of skill and ideologies. This mirroring showdown lets the audience reflect on both the protagonist and the themes of the series as a whole, allowing for an actual feeling of progression in the world. It is a narrative tool that is far more universal than you think. In the realm of movies, it is seen in Luke's and Darth Vader's first and second confrontations. In novels, we can see it in The Wheel of Time, with the Dark One, the embodiment of true nihilism and hopelessness, and Randall Thor, the Dragon Reborn, the fire of optimism and humanity's will to fight. However, unlike in movies or books, video games have the advantage of dialogue options, of letting you define the worldview that best fits the setting, in your opinion. A mirroring showdown used in a video game can also give you the option of gathering information or resources to help your argument should the final confrontation be a verbal one. Using Ulysses' own logs against him is an incredible reward for the trouble you go through to get them. Not to mention that it covers the theme of corrupting symbols through misunderstanding even better than my speech check route. However, one huge word of warning: do not use this tool in a shallow, visual-only way. It is not enough to go, "Look, I made a dark, spooky version of the protagonist, so now it's Showdown of Mirrors." No! If you use the Mirroring Showdown, there have to be two identical in life experience characters with two opposing conclusions. If you can actually make the audience understand how the mirroring antagonist came to the conclusion he did, all the better for you, because some of them will agree with him. This then leads to debate and, well, let's see how many hardcore Temple Legends are watching. What is the function of debate between fans in a franchise? Although we may not get an exact experience like Lonesome Road ever again, the tool used to make it has now been made clear. If you like, comment, and subscribe to the Temple, we can ensure narrative tools like these survive and are used to usher in a new wave of great stories, instead of the key-jangling remake culture we are stuck in right now. And of course, if you know of other examples of a mirroring showdown, please let me know in the comments below. I take great joy in reading the knowledge other Temple Legends bring to the Temple, especially the more essay-like comments. When I'm writing the scripts and doing the research for these lessons, a quote often comes to mind. One that's more of a meme, but also kind of true. We live in the ruins of a greater civilization. Seeing just the absolute nosedive of storytelling across all mediums in the present day does really feel like the civilization that could produce greater stories is in ruins. But I disagree. That civilization is still there, as is its knowledge, and you and I will do our part by gathering it here at the Temple. So make sure you catch up on the other 2 New Vegas videos if this was your first one, and join me again when we go and visit
Barbara with big titties and Stephanie who sucks like a vacuum.
Either way, thank you for your attention, I wish you a safe path down the mountain, and I'll see you next time in the Temple.